There's a version of you that nobody talks about. Not the version that feels everything. Not the one who stayed up at 3 a.m. talking someone else down from the edge. Not the one who walked into a room and immediately absorbed every tension, every unspoken resentment, every crack in the atmosphere. That version is well documented, celebrated even. The version nobody talks about is the one that comes after the burnout, after the collapse, after the silence that follows years of noise. That version is quieter, sharper, and in many ways completely unrecognizable, even to themselves. Emotional burnout in empaths doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with a dramatic breakdown or a single defining moment. It builds the way water erodes stone, slowly, invisibly, until one day the structure simply gives. For most empaths, the warning signs were always there. The exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. The growing dread before social interactions that used to feel natural. The strange emotional numbness that would descend after particularly draining conversations, like a circuit breaker, tripping to protect the system. But empaths are extraordinarily good at one thing above all others, rationalizing other people's needs as more urgent than their own. So they pushed through again and again. They told themselves it was fine, that they were strong enough, that this is just who they are, feelers, fixers, holders of everyone else's weight, until the day they weren't anymore. The burnout, when it finally arrives completely, looks less like falling apart and more like going blank. The feelings don't stop exactly. They just stop mattering the way they used to. The friend calls with another crisis, and instead of that familiar surge of urgency, there's just stillness. Flat water where there used to be a current. And the empath looks at that stillness and thinks, something is wrong with me. Nothing is wrong with them. Here's what the wellness world gets wrong about empath burnout. It frames it as damage, as a wound that needs healing so the empath can go back to being who they were. But you can't go back. And more importantly, we doubt you shouldn't want to. What's actually happening beneath the surface of that burnout is a profound neurological and psychological restructuring. The nervous system, after years of hypervigilance, is finally recalibrating. The brain, exhausted from processing everyone else's emotional landscape as if it were its own, is beginning to draw new maps, cleaner ones, with actual borders. This is not deterioration. This is integration. The empath is not losing their sensitivity. They are learning for the first time to metabolize it rather than be metabolized by it. Think of it this way. A person who's been running marathons on a broken leg hasn't been strong. They've been dissociated from their own pain. The moment they finally stop and feel that pain, the moment they're no longer willing to keep running, that's not weakness arriving. That's honesty arriving. Finally. The empath who comes out the other side of genuine burnout is not who they were before. Let's be precise about who they become. They become selectively present. Before burnout, the empath was present for everyone indiscriminately, a kind of emotional open-door policy that cost them everything and protected nothing. After burnout, that presence becomes something different, rarer, more intentional, and because of that, far more real. When they show up for you now, it means something. It's a choice, not a reflex. They develop an almost uncomfortable clarity. Burnout burns away a particular kind of illusion, the one that says if you just feel enough, care enough, give enough, people will meet you halfway. After that illusion is gone, the empath sees relationships with a clarity that can feel brutal at first. They see who reaches back and who simply reaches. They see patterns they were too enmeshed to recognize before. They see, perhaps for the first time, which connections were genuine and which were simply convenient for the other person. This clarity isn't cynicism, it's vision, and it changes everything. This one is subtle but important. For many empaths, especially those raised in environments where their sensitivity was exploited early, empathy became partly performative over time. Not consciously, not dishonestly, but the bar for what required a response had been set so low by so many people for so long that the empath was essentially on call 24 hours a day. Reacting, responding, managing. After burnout, that performance stops. Not because they care less, but because they've stopped confusing reactivity with compassion. Real empathy, they discover, doesn't require them to flinch at every emotional signal within range. It requires presence, discernment, and choice. This is the transformation that surprises people most, including the empath themselves. Because before, the very sensitivity that defined them was also their most exploitable quality. Anyone who understood how to trigger their guilt, their sense of responsibility, their fear of someone else's pain, had a reliable lever. Burnout dismantles the lever, not because the empath stops feeling guilt or responsibility, but because they've lived through enough cycles now to recognize the pattern before it closes around them. The urgency that used to feel like an emergency they needed to solve now reads differently. They can feel it and not be moved by it. That's a profound shift. That is, in the truest sense, power. It would be dishonest to describe this transformation without naming what it costs. There is grief here, real grief. The empath mourns the person they were, not because that person was bad, but because they were beloved. The world loved the version that gave without limit. Family members, partners, friends, colleagues, they built their lives around the reliability of that giving. When it stops, the fallout is real. Some relationships don't survive this transformation. They can't, because they were never truly relationships. They were arrangements. The empath provided emotional labor and stability, and in return they received presence and the sense of being needed. When the empath stops needing to be needed, the arrangement collapses. Watching that happen is painful, even when it's necessary. There's also grief for the years spent, for the energy poured into people and situations that never poured anything back, for the version of themselves they might have become sooner if someone had given them permission earlier to matter as much as everyone else. That grief deserves space. It shouldn't be rushed through on the way to the growth. Here is what remains after the burnout, after the grief, after the restructuring. The sensitivity is still there, every bit of it. Empaths don't become less feeling. That's not how this works. What changes is the relationship to the feeling. It moves from something that happens to them to something they wield. They feel deeply, and they choose what to do with what they feel, rather than being immediately swept into action by it. The compassion remains too, and sharper, cleaner, more honest than it's ever been, because now it comes without the undertow of self-erasure. They can sit with someone's pain without drowning in it. They can hold space without hollowing themselves out to create it. What falls away is the compulsion, the anxious, relentless drive to fix, to soothe, to manage. The belief that their worth was tied to their usefulness to others. The unspoken rule they'd been following for years, maybe decades, that said, your feelings come last. That rule finally is gone. The empath after burnout is quieter, not distant, quieter. There is a difference that matters enormously. They've stopped filling silence with reassurance. They've stopped reflexively absorbing tension in rooms as if it were their job to neutralize it. They've stopped explaining themselves to people who were never genuinely trying to understand. What they've gained is something that's almost impossible to describe to someone who hasn't lived through the same passage. A kind of internal stillness. Not emptiness, stillness. The kind that only comes when you've stopped running from your own experience long enough to actually inhabit it. They are, for perhaps the first time, at home in themselves. And from that place, that quiet, grounded, finally honest place, they are capable of a depth of connection that the old version, the overgiving, boundaryless, perpetually exhausted version, never could have offered. Because you cannot truly connect with someone else when you've dissolved yourself to reach them. The empath after burnout knows this now, in their body, in the new borders of their nervous system, in the way they pause before responding where they once would have rushed. They are not what they were. They are what they were always becoming, and that quietly is enough.